Skull Rock Podcast is brought to you by the generosity of the following companies. The Old Mill Press, publishing beautifully crafted books that illuminate our world. To learn more, visit theoldmillpress.com. And by listeners like you.
Hey everybody, this is Steve Anderson, animation director and storyboard artist, and you are listening to the Skull Rock Podcast.
Aye, mateys, remember this as the day you sailed with the Skull Rock Podcast. Proceed at your own risk, and mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tale.
All right, gang, favorite time of the week. Another drop for Skull Rock Podcast, the show about all things Disney and pop culture. Every week, we take you behind the scenes of some of your favorite Disney films, theme park attractions, performances, books, music, as well as what's streaming, what's playing in theaters, and what's happening in this universe of entertainment. I'm Aljon Go, musician and lifelong Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and pop culture fan. And you can email me, Aljon, A-L-J-O-N, at skullrockpodcast.com.
And I'm Dave Bossert, artist, filmmaker, author, and exhausted from traveling. Welcome to the Skull Rock Podcast. If you love Disney and pop culture, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also like and follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, LinkedIn, and on our very own Skull Rock YouTube channel. You can also email me at dave@skullrockpodcast.com. Aljon, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Recovering from candy overload, sugar OD.
Did you have a great Halloween? How'd the kids do with Halloween? Do they love it?
Oh, they love it. They were so excited. They couldn't sleep the night before. And then the day came and everybody was excited to get in their costumes. And the missus and I dressed up in our Halloween best, and you'd appreciate this, Dave, because she has the parasol girl from the Haunted Mansion costume. So from the stretching room, she wore that and got her hair and all in little knots. It's like the little girl. All I needed to do was get one of those little gators, that should have been nipping at her. I would have got her a little stuffed animal just to take around with her. And then I got my Jedi costume on, which was good. My lightsaber, found out that my lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge has a short in it for some odd reason. It won't ignite right. So I had to walk along with a flashlight.
That's planned obsolescence by Disney.
Dadgummit.
You got to go buy a new one.
I got to go get a new lightsaber, Dave. Dadgummit. But the kids were in their Disney best as well. A little girl dressed up like Maribel from Encanto. And she looked absolutely adorable with the curly hair and the green glasses. And our son dressed up as Woody, Sheriff Woody. So everywhere he was going, he was like, I got a steak in my boot. That's all he had to say every night, the whole night. So they ran around crazy. And so it was good. The neighborhood was good for Halloween. How about you, Dave? Did you pass out those big old honking candy bars to every kid that came across your...
Yeah, we did. We this is our first Halloween in the new place. Yeah. And there was a good showing. It was nice to see a lot of kids out trick-or-treating and dressed up. And I have to say, Aljon, that, it was, I think it's becoming a trend where the adults all gather in driveways and drink.
That's it.
While they hand out, I think that's happening everywhere. So
yes.
we went over to a neighbor's house, and she had set up a whole bar in her garage.
I love that.
And tables where we put everybody, all the neighbors put their bowls of candy and everything. So the kids had a one-stop shop.
I love that. So
yeah,
it started, at least in my neighborhood, it started around the pandemic. And that's kind of where it just continued to be that way. Everybody, all the adults that didn't have kids, or if they had kids, they just were just hanging out and had little makeshift, like, those little fire pits. They put the little fire pit out there in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and everybody was just hanging out.
Very nice.
I liked
Very
it.
nice.
Well,
yeah. So all in all, it was very nice. It wasn't too cold.
Oh, good.
There was a little breeze coming off the ocean, a little ways away from us, and it was a pleasant evening. I have to say, I was wearing shorts.
Wow. That's great, man. Well, enjoy it while it lasts, because
I know my costume was I was a beach bum.
You were a beach bum. Okay. That's great.
But
you
that's
know
it.
what? Yeah.
But this week, Aljon, we're dropping part 4 of our conversation with Tad Stones, which
Nice.
we've been getting a lot of great feedback from on social media.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a lot of fun. And, I love getting our kids into the whole, Disney Channel, Disney Afternoon animation. Like I said, I just started getting the kids into Gummi Bears and Quack Pack. And so they're just loving all that. Darkwing is next on the horizon for them. They already love Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. They already love that. So they're slowly going through the whole Disney Afternoon.
I think it's fantastic, and it's so great with streaming now that all of those shows are available.
And they look good. I mean, it's still of that era, but I love the fact that it doesn't look fuzzy. Like if you you pop the stuff on YouTube, sometimes you get like the artifacts, because they were old transfers or whatever, digitized, not from the best source material. But now they've got all the great source material and it looks better than ever. So happy to see it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to that, gang. But before we go into all of that, it looks like we do have a little bit of
Skull Rock Podcast answers your email.
It's always great to hear from our listeners around the world, and we have someone on deck this week, Dave.
We do. I got an email from Suzanne, who wrote us last week, by the way, really enjoying the podcast.
Nice.
And she, last week mentioned the Mad Monster Party.
Oh, yes.
Which we talked about. And she sent me another email. She said, Dave, I just emailed because I love the show and wanted to thank you both.
Nice.
I also just saw the fantastic Mr. Fox from 2009. It was a great story, all-star cast, and so well done. Your interviews have given me a new appreciation for stop motion. Sincerely, Suzanne. I wish I knew where Suzanne was from. But anyway, thank you, Suzanne, for the email. I know Aljon and I both appreciate it when our listeners write in. The fantastic Mr. Fox. Aljon, you remember seeing that,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
Yeah, that was I thought a really well done stop motion short. Had an all-star cast of voices. I think George Clooney was the lead in that, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And just, again, great stop motion. Love it. Thank you for writing in. I'm going to mention you, Suzanne, in a minute when we get to our picks of the week. We also got a note on social media. Great episode. This was in regards to our Tad Stone episode 3 last week. Great episode. Looking forward to seeing you guys at Animation Y'all. And that's from our friend Erica, listener in Alabama.
That's right. Erica, how are you?
So thanks, Erica, for that. And we are looking forward to seeing everybody who's going to come to the Animation Y'all. And we're just going to talk about it now until April, right?
Might as well hype it up.
Yeah, we're just going to keep, beating the drum about it, because Animation Y'all is going to be the hugest expo in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
If I can say Tennessee's the middle of the country.
Well, it is. I mean, it is.
It is Central Time. So.
It's considered the Midwest and in the South, not the deep South, but the South. But it's also the Midwest. So there you go.
There you have it. Yeah. So thank you, Erica, for that. And we are very much looking forward to the Animation Y'all Festival in the beginning of April.
Yeah, we are too.
So that's it for this week's listeners.
Absolutely. Once again, I encourage everybody to send us that note. If you will, send us those emails, Dave or Aljon at skullrockpodcast.com, or click the link in the show notes and leave us a voicemail, and maybe we'll play your voice on our next episode of Skull Rock Podcast. You hear the film projector. It's our picks of the week. Dave, what have you been watching this week?
Well, Aljon, I did manage to get to the movies this week, and I went to see Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere.
Oh, okay.
And this is a new film that's out. It stars Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. On the cusp of global stardom, New Jersey rocker Bruce Springsteen struggles to reconcile the pressures of success with the ghosts of his past as he records the album Nebraska in the early 1990s. I think Nebraska was an absolutely fantastic album.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a sleeper for Springsteen.
Yeah, I have to say though, I went into this, I'm a Springsteen fan.
Yeah.
And I went into this movie with great expectations, and I was a bit disappointed.
Oh no.
I felt the film was a bit self-indulgent. And it was for me a bit inconsistent in its pacing. And I would have liked to see a tighter film that focused more on the music. And there were flashbacks to his childhood that were black and white sequences. His father's played by Stephen Graham, who is a great British actor, and very recognizable. He was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He's been in a ton of stuff, and does a flawless English, American accent, I think. But, you've got Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. You got Odessa Young playing Faye. Jeremy Strong, I thought, was a standout performance. He plays Bruce's manager, John Landau. Just really terrific. The film's directed by Scott Cooper. It's a PG-13. 88% of people who saw the movie liked it. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 59%. IMDb 6.9 out of 10. Again, I was a bit disappointed by it, and again, the pacing just wasn't there for me. There was some parts of the film that really grabbed me and held my attention. And there were other parts that it's like, why was this in there?
Yeah.
So that's my assessment. I also feel as though if you're a Bruce Springsteen fan and you want to see this movie, wait until it comes on a streamer. You don't have to see this in a theater. If you have a good home entertainment system with a good sound system, you can watch this at home.
Where does this fall in your, since it's got kind of lukewarm? I mean, what is your number one kind of musician biopic that's out there right now?
Well, in recent memory, the one that came out on Bob Dylan with Timothée Chalamet, I thought was a fantastic biopic. That was a standout for me.
Yeah, I like the Elton John one myself. I really like Rocket Man. I thought Rocket Man was really well paced. I thought the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody was also very good.
Yes.
So those are some outstanding ones, and I'm like you, Bob Dylan for sure. That was well paced.
This one doesn't quite scale those heights.
Got it. That's unfortunate, especially for a monster like Bruce. But anyway, please continue.
There you go. On the small screen, Elsbeth is back, a CBS show that I watch on Paramount Plus. She plays a quirky unconventional attorney who's working with the New York Police Department, solving murders. Carrie Preston plays Elsbeth, and she's terrific. She's very likable. So season 3 is dropping, so I've been watching a few of those episodes and enjoying it. That's on Paramount Plus, CBS show. You can watch it on CBS as well if you got regular television. And then I watched the finale of Chad Powers. I got to tell you, Aljon, this is a 6-episode series. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Glenn Powell is off the charts. I just loved this 6 episodes. It's funny as hell. It's quirky. It's crazy. I'm hoping Hulu renews this for another season. They left a great cliffhanger. And I'm just praying that Hulu does the right thing. Disney does the right thing, and they actually renew this for a second season, because this is right up there with Ted Lasso for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really terrific, and I highly recommend it to people. Just watch this, and I guarantee you're going to be laughing, and you're going to think it's hilarious. And then finally, Suzanne, who wrote into us, for the last 2 weeks, the first time she wrote in, she mentioned the Mad Monster Party, and I hadn't seen Mad Monster Party in decades.
Right.
So you know what I did, Aljon?
You rented.
I went and purchased it. No, I didn't even rent it. It was a $3.99 rental. The purchase was $4.99.
Oh yeah, come on.
I shelled out the $4.99 and I bought it on Prime, and I watched it, and I gotta tell you, it's kind of awful.
Oh boy.
It's got a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a wonderful voice cast with Boris Karloff and Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
And Gail Garnett and Ethel Ennis. Okay. But I think that this is from Rankin and Bass, and my feeling is that this could have probably been a half hour.
Oh,
right? And they stretched it into 90 minutes.
Oh, oof.
And there is just a lot of flat spots in there.
Oh.
I mean, somebody could have gone in and edited this thing in half, and it still would have carried, The story is, when Dr. Frankenstein retires, he calls an international roster of monsters to elect his successor. However, his title is not all that is at stake, as the famous doctor realizes the secret of total destruction, realizes the secret of total destruction that must not fall into the wrong hands. So this is directed by Jules Bass of Rankin and Bass.
Yeah.
And frankly, Aljon, it's very campy. The one thing I will say is, do you remember the cartoonist Jack Davis?
Yes.
Who did all of those great caricatures for TV guide covers and magazine covers? And I think he did Mad Magazine too.
Yes, just
if
a
I'm not
famous
mistaken.
magazine artist for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a off the charts great cartoonist.
Yeah.
Jack Davis did the character designs.
Oh yeah.
For Mad Monster Party. I thought the songs and the score were terrible. I think that they could have been much better. I think a great strong score would have actually improved this film a little bit, but really somebody needed to go in and re-edit this thing. Anyway, Suzanne, thanks for reminding me of Mad Monster Party, and I did go and rewatch the whole thing, all 90 minutes of it. Boy, it was painful at times.
Boy.
It really was. And Alan Swift does, Count Dracula, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and a bunch of other characters. I think that Rankin and Bass spent their money on Boris Karloff and Phyllis Diller. And Alan Swift does like most of the other voices.
Yeah, right. Oh boy!
So that's what I watched this week. Aljon, what did you watch?
Well, like you, I watched a lot. I actually caught up on things, but there's a couple things I forgot to mention last week, and one of them is actually Bill Murray. Dave, do you know that Bill Murray is in a band?
I did not know that.
It's called Bill Murray and His Blood Brothers, and I saw Bill, one of his guitar players. Amazing guy. We spent some time just catching up, and it's been a long time since I've, hung out with those guys, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to come catch us play?" They were at the Gibson Garage, of course, and so I was like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's go check it out." So I went, saw Bill Murray, and he was great. Walking around Nashville, and he's apparently just so well loved and well liked by people because he's so down to earth. And I didn't know I even had backstage passes to hang out with him before and after the show. I didn't know. I just came there, and I could have been hanging out with Bill Murray, but yeah, it's just a great fun band. If you like Chicago blues, check out Bill Murray and his Blood Brothers on tour right now. And they did a whole bunch of covers. Bill would occasionally come out and have some funny quips, but for the most part, he sang every third song. And, you know, when he sings, he just has a great time. You can tell he's into the music, into the Chicago blues thing. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
He's not doing his lounge lizard act that he did on SNL.
No, he's not doing Star Wars. So he's nothing but Star Wars. He's not doing any of that. But it is fun to check out for sure. And so go out there if you are a big fan. If you love jam and the blues, you're gonna love Bill Murray and his Blood Brothers. And he is funny. They do a couple of really cool covers of like Jenny 8675309 and So Tired of Waiting and a bunch of different songs. And he is funny. But he's been in a band for a long time, so please check him out. Another thing I did see, being a fan of music, Don Felder, formerly of the Eagles Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, wrote Hotel California and a myriad of other things, came by as well. That's the thing about being at the Gibson Garage, Dave, in my office, is that the celebrities always come out, and he entertained with a very short set, playing, of course, Hotel California and his double neck Gibson guitar, which is awesome. And it's always great to see Don play. He had a health scare not too long ago, fainting on stage or whatnot, but he's back at it and doing great and doing a lot of charity work, raising money for children's hospitals. And so go out there and see Don Felder when you can. It's a lot of fun.
You said he fainted on stage?
Yeah, he fainted on stage, I think last year.
I think I might have seen a video of that.
Yeah. I thought
he just went down on his back.
He went down on his back, yeah. And I had messaged our team. I was like, "Did you know Don fell out?" And so we touched base with him, and he was okay. He was just a little dehydrated. So, but he's doing great. So a couple live shows, and then the viewing party continues for Monster. That is a kind of a continuing series on Netflix. This season, they're tackling Ed Gein, and I have to say it's a great story. Kind of a nice short watch in terms of the episodes. I think there's like 8 episodes in this season's arc. And in this past week, I ended up seeing how they kind of integrated the Ed Gein story into different kind of horror films that were inspired by Ed Gein. All of a sudden you flashed forward from Ed Gein doing his horrific story and, kind of like a glamorized version of a story. And then you flash forward to Alfred Hitchcock talking to Anthony Perkins, who was just shooting Psycho at the time. And kind of like, getting into that and the whole psyche of Anthony Perkins and, kind of being influenced by the Ed Gein story. And then you fast forward, to yet another, there's a scene that's reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then it went all meta. And of course it was them filming, Texas Chainsaw Massacre being influenced by the story of Ed Gein. Right. So there's a bunch of different things in there that I thought were very interesting takes in how they're telling this story of how this story kind of influences horror, the horror genre. So very interesting stuff, especially the Anthony Perkins and Alfred Hitchcock of it all. The Alfred Hitchcock is do you think he's a weirdo? Is he a weirdo, Dave? Was Alfred Hitchcock a weirdo?
No, I think Alfred Hitchcock was a great director. Who had a quirky personality.
Okay.
I mean,
so he's quirky.
He had that sort of reserved English, personality or persona, if you will, with I think a dry, acerbic sense of humor.
Okay. So that comes across quirky. I would not have put it quirky based on the portrayal of him, but as Psycho had, went to theaters and people were just disgusted with Psycho, and people were leaving the theaters and vomiting in the lobby and everything. And he was out there just taking it all in. The movies that had come to follow, I guess, were even more schlocky, and I think it turned his wife off. That's the kind of narrative they were kind of going. And so it was very interesting stuff. Anyway, in other news, I did watch Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So the original Rebecca De Mornay film was hallowed as one of those kind of classic 1990s. I think it was late 19 or early 1990s films. It's about an upscale suburban mom bringing in a new nanny, Polly Murphy, into her home, only to discover she's not the person she claims to be. So this has a lot of the same beats as the original Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which I thought was a chilling film. And this is just a really interesting take on it. I really enjoyed it. Critics have not been too kind to it, giving it a 5.3.
It's the remake, though, right?
It is a remake, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a remake. They haven't been too kind to it. A 5.3. I would definitely give it like a 6.5 or a 7. I really appreciate the portrayal of the family. Maika Monroe, who plays Polly Murphy, is an actress who is known for the lead in Longlegs. Do you remember that movie Longlegs we talked about last year? Uh-huh. So she was the FBI agent in Longlegs. She's been in Independence Day. She's also in God Is a Bullet. She is a very good actress, and I really like the entire cast. So kudos. I thought they did really well. Enjoy it if you dig that kind of stuff. And then I saw some other things. I have to give a shout out to the Walt Disney Imagineering YouTube page, because they have a series called We Call It Imagineering, and they put out the latest, which is kind of a 30-minute documentary on the Haunted Mansion, Phantom Manor, and Mystic Manor, Dave, things you know quite a bit of, and a show called Foolish Mortals. And they talk about the Haunted Mansion beginnings, about the attraction through the years, and of course Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong, which is to me like some of my favorite Disney attractions of all time. So they take a look, and it was Tanya Norris, Tanya Norris, who we talked about and we had on the show. She was there participating in this documentary, and she was great. We talked to her a few weeks ago because Kat, our special guest host on the show when you were out, Dave, she had dinner with her at Club 33 and had a blast. But it was great. Tom Fitzgerald's in it as well. So really good stuff. I suggest you go over there. It was released a couple of weeks ago, October 19th. Give it some love, because I think it's really well done. So check that out. And then, of course, a couple other things I've been watching too, catching up on Matlock, all my old person shows, Dave, as you like to rag me on. I watch Matlock. Kathy Bates, of course, is wonderful.
Hey, I watch them too, you know. Okay. I mean, but they are sort of like, you know, old people shows.
Yeah, you make fun of me about it because I love them. Yeah, I really like Kathy Bates. Matlock was fun. And then I also watched Boston Blue because I like procedurals and really dig that, and Law & Order SVU. So that's kind of what I've been watching. All good stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, you know, something I love this time of year because there's lots of, you know, shows that are coming back with new seasons and, you know, dropping, you know, periodically. Landman is going to be dropping, I think, in another week or two. The next season of that with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes.
You know, so there's a lot of great stuff to watch. And by the way, I didn't even mention it, but I caught up on a couple of new episodes of Tulsa King.
That's great.
Stallone.
That's great.
Which is a Taylor Sheridan show like Landman. And I think we're going to talk about Taylor Sheridan shortly in the news.
I think we will. A lot of bombs dropping on that one this week.
Yeah,
hey, gang, what have you been watching? Let us know. And maybe we'll check it out in a future episode.
Skull Rock Podcast. This week in Disney and pop culture.
In box office news, Dave, according to Hollywood Reporter, box office revenue for this past month, October, now that we're in November, I can't believe the year's almost over, fallen to 27-year low, excluding the pandemic. It says in the headline, the dramatic downturn in the North American market is due to a scarcity of product and the failure of fall event picks to connect with audiences, leaving ill-fated Tron Ares and Dwayne Johnson star Smashing Machine. It's failing audiences. You know, Dwayne Johnson's movie, Smashing Machine, was highly regarded in the cinema festival circuit, but it is an independent film, and I don't think the grand scheme of things, people know about that movie and are really care about the content, because it's about a MMA star that not a lot of people know about. As opposed to Tron.
The other thing too about that, Aljon, was that aside from it being an indie film, I thought, looking at all the previews and some of the interviews with Dwayne Johnson about that movie, it looked really interesting, and it looked like he was using it as a vehicle to really show his range as an actor.
100%.
And I'm gonna watch that when it comes on to one of the streamers, because it looked to me like it was just a biopic that you could watch on a good system at home. You didn't have to see it in the theater. So it's understandable that it didn't do well, A, because people didn't really know what it was about, and B, it was an indie film. They didn't do the kind of promotion that it needed.
No, and you know, the reason why it went into theaters is because it went into Oscar consideration, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, they knew it wasn't going to be a big hit. They wish they probably could have made more, as opposed to Disney, which I think did a pretty good job of promoting Tron Ares. I wouldn't say it was the best.
I didn't think it was that great, quite frankly. But I liked the movie, as you know. I talked very highly about it. I thought it was visually stunning. I loved the soundtrack to it, and I just thought it was a great story. It was. I mean, look, did you need to make it? Did you need to make another Tron movie? I mean, you know, people would sit there shaking their heads going, I don't think so. But, you know, they made it, and I thought it was well done. I think people should see it on a big screen.
Tron is one of those things where it's very niche to me. Like, I don't see even the biggest Disney fans loving Tron. You know, it's like me saying, I want a sequel to The Black Hole. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how niche that audience is for that movie. And I'm thinking to myself,
I want a sequel to The Black Cauldron.
You know, they could do a good job of doing that film, that book series better. I could tell you
I think
that.
they could do a live action series of The Black Cauldron.
Damn straight, Dave. Damn straight. I'm with you 100% about that. You know, come on, it's your IP. But the domestic box office revenue for October expected to come in at roughly $425 million, the worst showing in 27 years. And I will look at our box office kind of charts right now as it seems, and I will say that it's just kind of crazy what's going on in the box office right now. Let's look at let's see here. Stream. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Derry debuted at 5.7 cross numbers, and that is with streaming. I haven't yet seen it, but I need to see it. That's on HBO. And
Aljon, I saw the ad for it, you know, just the still image of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not watching that.
And I'm out. Dave cashes in his chips. Okay, I'm out of this one. And then leading the market research, NBC Universal's female-fueled Wicked for Good, debuting at $115 million domestically, but provides a range suggesting it could come in closer to $120 million. Dave, do you have any desire to go see this Wicked sequel, Wicked for Good?
Absolutely. I'm going to go see it on the big screen by me. They don't have an IMAX screen near me, but they have the theater that's closest to me has what's known as the Cube. And it is a very large screen with a great sound system in the auditorium. So it's where I actually saw Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere and other films in recent weeks. But the thing I will say is, of course, I'm going to go see this. It's a spectacle. I just saw the new trailer, the extended trailer, if you will, for Wicked for Good. and it just looks fantastic. It's an epic movie, and you have to see it on a big screen.
Nice. Streaming, of course, right now, people love these horror movies. Megan 2.0, Scream Night from 1996, Bring Her Back on HBO Max 28 years later, streaming on Netflix. What Happened to Baby Jane and Slender Man. Of course, Halloween, the perennial, on Hulu. So there's a lot of stuff going on with horror movies, but overall streaming, Ed Gein is streaming a lot on Netflix, Wayward on Netflix as well, NCIS, Play Dirty, Law and Order, a lot of stuff happening there in streaming. And of course the top movies, Play Dirty on Prime Video streaming. Have you seen that on Prime Video, Dave? Play Dirty?
No, I have not.
K-Pop Demon Hunter still streaming well on Netflix. Karate Kid Legends is in the top 10, as well as The Naked Gun, Superman, Elio over at Disney Plus, rounding out some of the top 10. So there's some good stuff that's going on in terms of the streaming charts and box office right now. Just a little soft. People really want those tentpole franchise kind of big attraction movies, right? That's what they want to come out in the theaters to see.
That's exactly right. And, these smaller movies, like Smashing Machine or even Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. These are films you could put on to a great streaming service and watch it at home if you have a good system, you know.
Well, speaking of streaming, Dave, we're talking about Taylor Sheridan. He's going to be leaving Paramount for NBC Universal. This is a huge move.
Was a bombshell in Hollywood this past week. This was the talk of the town. How could Paramount Plus let go their hit maker? I mean, Taylor Sheridan has done so many shows. He put Paramount Plus on
the map.
100%. On the map. And they let him walk out. I mean, personally, I think that this is a black eye for David Ellison coming into Paramount and taking over. They should have done everything they needed to do to keep Taylor Sheridan in the fold, and they didn't. They did the opposite. They slighted him. I've read so many articles where they interviewed insiders, people in Taylor Sheridan's orbit, people inside of Ellison's orbit, all talking about what went down here, and it's absolutely crazy,
That is crazy.
And by the way, kudos to Dana, I think it's Dana Langley over at Universal.
Yeah.
Who basically swooped in and made an offer. Paramount and Ellison's team, they didn't even make an offer to Sheridan. So here you got Taylor Sheridan, the guy that put Paramount Plus on the map, is now going over to NBC Universal. I think next year he's allowed to make movies over there. And then when his TV deal expires with Paramount Plus at the end of 28, I think it is, he's going to start making shows for NBC Universal. It's crazy. This whole thing is just absolutely crazy. I mean, when you think about Taylor Sheridan, Yellowstone, 1888, 1923, the spinoffs of Yellowstone. There's another one, 1944, that's going to be coming out, which is another spinoff of Yellowstone. You've got Landman with Billy Bob Thornton. You've got Lioness. I mean, my God, the shows that this guy has done for Paramount Plus, and they're letting him walk away. It's beyond me. It was literally the craziest thing, because every single day this week the trades had articles on it.
I don't even know what to say about it, because he's brought so much value to that platform. Sheridan and his 101 Studios famously shoots in Texas and Montana. His company is in fact partnered with Paramount to expand their footprint in Texas early this year to bid a boost for the production in the state. That's a lot of stuff unraveling there for the Paramount Plus. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and by the way, the Universal deal that Taylor Sheridan signed, the TV deal, I mean, his deal with Universal over a 5-year period is going to be worth close to $1 billion, depending on the performance.
That is so bizarre. I don't know
It's
what's going on with
crazy.
that. Well, speaking about streaming, there's more. Get ready to switch again. Disney's Freakier Friday sets to stream November 12th on Disney Plus, just a few days away as we read this. Of course, you know what's going on with that. Bleeding heart and humor and a dash of spellbound magic. Disney's Freakier Friday marks the next chapter for the on-screen mother-daughter duo of Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. I am down with that. It's called A Throwback Done Right. Funny, fun, and full of heart, says Kylie Moore of Complex Magazine. Dave, did you catch a Freakier Friday at all? Freakier Friday?
No, I'm gonna watch it when it comes on Disney Plus.
It looks funny. I think this is another great comeback for Lindsay.
It does look good, but it didn't look like a film I needed to see in the theaters.
Oh no, it didn't. Sure, it didn't. Let's see. In other streaming news, also November 5th, just a few days away, you can experience Marvel's first family. The Fantastic Four from Marvel Studios will be streaming exclusively on Disney Plus starting November 5th. I can't wait to check that out in full HD on the big screen at home, because I ended up liking this film a lot, even though there were some, a little bit of some issues going on of them trying to shoehorn a lot in a very small period of time. I thought Fantastic Four First Steps was a very good close.
I loved it,
next
Aljon.
phase.
I loved the production design. I loved the cast. I thought it was extremely well done. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing this in the theaters.
Yes. Check this out. Monstrous Fun Day Football is coming December 8th, featuring Eagles, Chargers set in the world of Pixar's iconic monsters. This looks very interesting to me, Dave. Looking forward to it. It's going to be streaming, of course, ESPN, Disney Plus, and Disney XD. Check it out. It's going to be real-time animated monsters, Dave. So
okay.
I like how they're doing that. They've done this before in different award shows and things, but it'll be interesting to see how they do that kind of promoting, Disney Plus there on the streamer.
All right.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is the time of year, Dave, that's highly contentious for a bunch of music fans. Dave, how about these honorees? Can I read the list to you? You can give me a little.
Please do.
You
Please
can do a
do.
little name check on it. Bad Company. Chubby Checker. Like, I didn't know he wasn't already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
What the
Chubby
hell?
Checker.
Chubby Checker should have been in decades ago.
Yeah, that's unconceivable to me.
He's one of the founders of rock and roll.
Yeah, Joe Cocker. It's honoring them. So yes, this is an initial list of performers. Okay, so this is. I'm looking at these performers. So they're honoring them. I don't know if he
What does
hasn't
that
already
mean?
been.
Are they getting in? Are they already in and being honored? What's the deal? What's the deal here?
I don't know. It's really strange how they word this in the press release. It doesn't give me a
it's an
list.
induction ceremony. Who's being inducted?
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now.
Because that's kind of crazy to me. Chubby Checker.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Okay. Yeah, Chubby Checker. It's Chubby Checker.
He's being inducted now?
He's being inducted now.
I mean, who's running this rinky-dink operation?
I don't know. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. It's like, what? I thought the guy that did the twist, I thought he would have already been in like years ago. What's going on here?
I don't know.
That's
crazy.
It's so bizarre to me. Okay, so here we are, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. I'm scrolling down. I had it list here, and now I can't find it. Inductees: Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker. Joe Cocker, Dave, is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame already?
That's nuts.
I know. Cyndi Lauper, Outkast, Soundgarden, and White Stripes. So you're telling me, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, and Bad Company aren't already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Look, I could understand Bad Company, but I mean, come on, Joe Cocker and Chubby Checker.
I don't get it.
They should have been inducted years ago. That's craziness.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
It's so weird. So
that's bizarre.
What is going on, man? What kind of universe are we living in?
The world is upside down.
Also going to be in the Hall of Fame induction. I guess they're going to have Warren Zevon in there, Tom Bell, Nicky Hopkins, Carol Kay, Lenny Warwanker. There's a bunch of people there inducting these people. Olivia Rodrigo, Questlove is in there as well. Teddy Swims, 21 Pilots. So I think they're going to be special performances and all this. So there's also an inductee exhibit open to the public starting now, and it will feature handwritten lyrics of Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper, one of my favorite songs of all time. And the White Stripes, I guess there's guitars, of course, Gibson guitars from Soundgarden, et cetera, et cetera. But the Hall of Fame induction is going to be streaming Saturday, November 8th on Disney+. So don't miss it. I know I won't.
That's crazy.
I know, right? What's going on with this? Dave, have you seen this? This is new. James Gunn's future gets major update ahead of potential WB Paramount merger. Could this be one of the reasons why perhaps that, our guy did not get his contract renewed for content? Is it because of this potential merger, you think?
I don't know. Honestly, there's so much going on here. And the problem with all of these mergers is that once they do a merger, there's a slash and burn mentality to save money, And that's what's going on at Paramount right now since Skydance has taken over. They're laying off 1,000+ people from there, and whenever there's whatever merger happens with Warner Brothers Discovery, there's going to be a ton of layoffs and slashing burn mentality going on.
It just seems to me like Warner Brothers has been such turmoil ever since the pandemic. I think when the merger went down with AT&T. Something like that.
Well,
happened.
no, it was it was the Warner Brother Discovery.
Warner Discovery merger. That's right. That's right.
That's right. Yeah, and so they went in and did a slash and burn and cut. Remember they Batgirl, the movie was nearly in the can, finished, and they shut it down to take a write-off.
Yeah, so all that happened. And there was word that maybe there was going to be a restructuring again of DC Studios. This is just right after they hired Peter Safran and James Gunn, and they released their new Superman. They've put out, Peacemaker, and they had, a couple different projects already out there on their streaming platform.
And Superman did well.
Yeah, Superman did well. So, but apparently, according to recent reports, this is from Yahoo Entertainment News, that there was an uncertainty, but apparently they're going to keep them at the helm of DC Studios, which is good. They need to keep some stability in that to keep that property viable, and they're doing a good job at it. So continued success, hopefully, with them. Let's move on to, I think we're at that point in the show where we can officially do this.
Obituary roll call.
Dave, you sent me this note. Maria Riva, actress and daughter of Marlene Dietrich, dies at 100. She's appeared in films as a child with her mom before becoming a great star for CBS in the early days of television. That's something I haven't heard of. Marlene Dietrich, I know the mom. Not familiar with Maria Riva, perhaps, but Dave, maybe you can shed some light on.
Yeah,
on
no,
her.
I mean, she. This is one of those stories where the child of a megastar has had their own career, did really well, and had a family and all of that, and lived to be 100. She really was her mother's official biographer as well. And so, we should all be so lucky to live to be 100.
Wow. Well, speaking of living at 100, this just in, Ralph Sinsky, the director of Star Trek and the Waltons, dies at 102. This just literally came in just now, Dave. He helmed memorable episodes spotlighting Leonard Nimoy and Ellen Corby on these shows, plus 3-part pilot for Dynasty. That must be Dynasty, the soap opera, the nighttime soap opera Dynasty, which I really enjoyed when I was a kid. Died Saturday in a hospital in Carmel in California. He was 100 degrees. 100 degrees. He was 100 years old, Dave. Sorry, he was 102. 102. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
102 as I scroll and read
again,
this.
Fantastic life and great career.
He helmed some of the episodes on season 1 Star Trek. This Side of Paradise, one of my favorites. Early standout Spock installment, season 2's Metamorphosis. And for the 3rd season, one of the noteworthy episodes, the Tholian Web, with Captain Kirk and Spock and McCoy. Really great episodes for my Trekdom. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Lee Weaver, actor in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou on The Bill Cosby Show and Easy Street, dies at the age of 95, Dave.
Yeah, and you know something, Aljon, this is again another great character actor who, when you see his face, you go, oh yeah, I remember seeing him. He was in all kinds of stuff, including in one of the shows I think you like to watch.
Oh, what's WKRP?
No, I think it was like Hill Street Blues or something
Hill
like
Street
that.
Blues?
He played
Oh,
a
yeah.
character called Buck Naked.
Of course. How can I forget that? How can I forget that? For sure, no doubt. More passings this week. We have here jazz drummer Jack DeJohnette, who played with Miles Davis and Chick Corea, dies at the age of 83. Another talented drummer. He was best known working for Keith Jarrett, Miles Davis, Charles Lloyd, and other jazz musicians. DeJohnette was celebrated for his ability to perform across various styles and genres, across rock and jazz, experimental and avant-garde styles. He died Sunday in a hospital in Kensington, New York. He was 83. Oh, man.
Yeah, wow.
What a bummer.
Something else.
Faulty Towers. Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, Faulty Towers.
We talk about Faulty Towers like every other week on this show. I think people love the show. Dave likes it a lot. An actress, Prunella Scales, dead at 93, months after the passing of husband Timothy West. And we talked about this when Tim passed away. Dave, you're a big fan of Faulty Towers.
Oh, I love Faulty Towers. I think it's one of the great comedy shows that Britain's ever produced. It's fantastic. If our listeners have never seen Faulty Towers, you should really search it out and see if you can find it. I'm sure it's available someplace, maybe even for rent on Prime or something like that. It's just incredible. She was, I think, one of the, great performers in Faulty Towers. And I believe she was one of the co-writers.
Oh, wow.
On the show, if I'm not mistaken. She played Sybil Faulty, to John Cleese's Faulty, the proprietor of the inn. I mean, there are such great episodes on that show.
It
really, in 2000, the British Film Institute voted the comedy the #1 British TV program of all time. I wouldn't disagree with it. I mean, my God, some of the episodes were just incredible.
She seemed super lovely.
Incredible.
Yeah, she seemed super lovely. And she was married to her husband, Tim, for 61 years?
Yeah.
61 years. Amazing stuff. Rest in peace.
Yeah, just crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely. How about this, Dave? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air child actor Floyd Roger Myers Jr. passes away at the young age of 42, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, it's listed as a heart attack. That's just wow. It's insane.
It's very sad indeed. He suffered 3 heart attacks in the last 3 years. Oh, jeez. Unbelievable. You may not know the face, or you may not know the name, but you might know the face. Look here at page 6 there for celebrity passings. You see him. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a young kid. So sad indeed. He had a role as Marlon Jackson in the Jacksons documentary An American Dream. I remember seeing that series myself. And very sad day. Very sad indeed. I believe that's the rest of the celebrity passings for this week, Dave. It's unfortunate, but once again, they leave behind a body of work. Please go out there, seek out their work, and they'll live on in our memory. Let's now sit back and relax to a guy who's got a prolific career. We're talking about Tad Stones, producer, founder of Disney Animation. Check out part 4 of our talk right here on Skull Rock Podcast.
Let's do it.
Hey, let's chat.
Let's chat.
So let's chat now.
Let's chat afterwards. And he said, let's chat again.
Skull Rock Podcast. Interview time.
Well, Aljon, we are back again for week 4 with Tad Stones, one of the original founders. I'm going to call him a founder because I think you qualify as a founder of Walt Disney Television Animation.
I always say one of the founding fathers, because I wasn't, there was that 9 months where I wasn't there.
Yeah, but you're one of the founding fathers because you're really at the beginnings of it. And, last week we kind of left off with you just about to start talking about Chip and Dale and the Rescue Rangers and how that went to production.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun show because, I mean, Gummies was great. And like I think I said last week, I like the longer form show as opposed to 11 minutes. So here was an adventure show that were all 22 minutes. And we were creating, well, not Chip and Dale, but how the chipmunks were treated was up to me, but especially the brand new character. And I remember Alan Zaslav, we had the first, it must have been the first script. We had a gag where Gadget, who's this mouse who could build anything out of, what we think of as junk at the bottom of your junk drawer or something.
He was like the MacGyver character.
Exactly. And she was up on the ceiling with these like suction cup boots that she had. And the boys came in, meaning Chip and Dale came in, and they got excited about something and they were going to rush out. And she basically said, "Hey, wait for me," unlaced her boots without thinking, because she was kind of this oblivious character, and fell out of scene, and you hear a crash. And Alan came in a little concerned and said, "I don't know that she would do that." Now, this had come from, there had been a thing in network TV where they demanded more female characters, which is great. It should have been all along. But it was like, and this drove Jim Magon crazy. He said, it's like the girls have to be perfect. The guys can be slobbering fools, but the girls can't make a mistake. Well, the result of that is the females were always boring characters. Who wants to watch that kind of cartoon? Show me Daffy and Donald, Anyway, when Alan said, "I don't know if she would do that," I said, "Alan, kind of creating the character, anything I have her do is basically what she does." And he thought about it and he said, "You're right." And that was the last time that was an issue, because my feeling was, and this was way more in Darkwing, it's like the characters are there. Each one has to be entertaining. I don't need a straight man. I mean, even Chip, who has to hold the team together, is funny and, broad in his own right.
Yeah.
So that was, it was fun creating those characters,
How did production go, Rescue, for Chip and Dale and
crazy. As I said last time, my hours were insane because there were two of us trying to feed that many scripts through.
Where was most of the animation done at that point?
We had at least, Disney Australia didn't exist yet. There was a Disney owned studio in Japan, so Tokyo Disney. I'm sure there was like 3 other places that did animation. I think there was one place in the United States that did some. Even in Darkwing, I think there was one studio in the United States. But it was usually a mix between Korea and Japan for most of the studios. Later on in Darkwing, I knew more about, not that I remember them, but individual studios. And when we could, we'd like to say, make this episode go there. But usually that's not how our pipeline worked. We had, the script schedule I found in a box as I'm cleaning things out was like 1 script in a week. And then the next week, 2 scripts. It was 1, 2, 1, 2. And it's like, God, I don't remember being that crazy. But it was, you had to keep things moving.
How long did it take you to write a script for a show?
The scripts basically, if there was no other script going, if we're just saying 1 script, it was like a premise should take a couple of days, if that, because sometimes just to get into work, it was like you're just brainstorming ideas. Okay, now write it up as a premise. And it's like, even in your first meeting, you're kind of giving the basics. Now, premises became the evil of the industry, of course. All studios wanted more in that premise. It's like they kind of want a beginning, middle, and end. And a premise really should be Darkwing is on or Drake Mallard and Gosling Mallard and Launchpad take a vacation on an Antarctic tour, which runs aground in ice and the queen of the penguins, of the emperor penguins, falls in love with Darkwing, and he finds himself kidnapped in this frozen empire. It's like, okay, that sounds like a lot of cool visuals, and I see that there's a dynamic between characters that can certainly play out. That's what I would call a premise. Now, we wouldn't pitch that unless we knew more details in our head.
Yeah.
But that became a thing where premises were expected to have more story to them, which is wrong from my point of view, because that's called an outline, and there's a certain fee that a writer should be paid for that. Where a premise, if you buy a premise for someone, and this is in $1987 or something that, a premise was worth like $250. But we rarely bought a premise, because basically, by the way the writer wrote a premise, you know whether or not, oh, this guy can write or this woman can write, and we're going to have them do an outline, knowing that we're going to be rewriting all the way through. Because your goal is to get the writer to do the whole thing, and you're working in, and if they're easy to work with or whatever, maybe they'll end up coming on staff someday. So you have a premise, you then have an outline. So the premise, it's a couple of days. An outline is in a week. That means getting it to the story editor in a week. Story editor does a quick rewrite, as fast as possible. Sometimes it would be more than that. And then the script first draft would be 2 weeks, I want to say, rewrite 1 week. And that is with no overarching guideline from the season or something. That's from, there was nothing, and then there was this story about the Emperor Queen, and at the end of basically 8 weeks, you have a script ready for production. So that's what it was. Now,
so 8
you
weeks,
have
eight weeks to do a script.
Yes.
Okay.
But of course, you have how many technically, but 4 or 6 stories going all at once like that. When I had a lot more story editors on Darkwing, everybody is working at that schedule, and it's all going through me. So I'm giving extensive notes, but it's the story editors who are doing the rewriting necessary. Now, every studio is different, every story editor is different, and some do expect the writer to do all the rewrites and get it up to production perfection. And ours, partially because of the schedules, it's like, okay, this has got to go through my computer. I'm changing that. That character's not working for me. You're doing all sorts, whatever it is, to get it right, to feel like the show, and move it on.
Yeah.
So again, you've got all these overlapping scripts coming through.
How has that process evolved while you were there at Disney Television Animation? Did it change, morph into something different?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, for me specifically, when we did Darkwing, I made sure I had a lot of story editors, more than the production teams, and that helped on every level. And they brought such humor, and some writers were quickly turned into what the equivalent of a second season would be, elevated to a story editor, because we knew that they could handle the job and all of that, and brought a different kind of humor. Like, I know Kevin Hops, who is a story editor, I worked with as much as possible. He came over from Smurfs and Hanna-Barbera. He always looked for someone who was funny, because he could give structure to the show and guide them into the structure, and he wanted fresh humor and all that. Yeah. Doug Langdale, who had started with Kevin and then became a story editor, said, I need someone to give me structure of a real solid story. I know I can make it funny. And it was like the two different personalities, but it's a whole different way of working, and it made for a great show. And some guys like Tom Minton came over from having done Tiny Toons and all that, came over for I'm jumping ahead, that's Darkwing, but he was a totally different sensibility. And a lot of that I tried to let go, and a different kind of seasoning to the overall series. Yeah. But Rescue Rangers, again, I love the adventure of it. It was always trying, at a certain point, we get that kind of note from above saying, and this might have come from Eisner, that they should be rescuing people, or rescuing somebody in every show. They were taking it literally. And it's like a lot of ours were just, hey, here's a cool story. They are helping somebody. It's not necessarily a rescue. But some of this, we did pitches that were just in selling the show. Oh, here's the thing I should back up as far as how things used to work. This goes back to the networks. It used to be the network. You go in and pitch a show with maybe 3 pieces of art. One of those just being the title, maybe a character standing next to the title. And then there was maybe a character lineup, or certainly the main characters. Like with Scooby-Doo, you'd have the four
Yeah.
kids, probably standing in front of their van. And then maybe one piece of artwork that suggests an episode, like I made up before. It's like, oh, here's this character being pulled off a ship by a bunch of penguin warriors, and there's a queen penguin type on this icy throne. That would be enough to, say the gag. I think on Rescue Rangers, one of the visuals was airplanes were being robbed mid-flight because these fruit bats were going up and opening the cargo hold and carrying things out. And one of the others of Rescue Rangers that definitely became an episode, and I think it was Kevin Hobbs who said, that looks great, I want to do that episode. It was a temple-looking place built out of Coke cans, soda cans, and the Rescue Rangers in it, and that became a whole story of a cult of Cuckoo Cola. And Kevin and I wrote a song that for a while we kept getting residuals for. So that meshed into a whole big adventure. So it wasn't necessarily always rescues. It was just like, what's an entertaining story that gets these guys on a wild adventure?
And how much input did the networks have on like that?
Well, a lot on Gummi Bears, but on DuckTales and all my syndicated shows, there was no network. Our shows were distributed by Buena Vista Distribution, which was a Disney-owned company.
Yep.
And they basically had to take, for the most part, whatever we had to sell. That was just their job. Their job was to distribute this show. So we got no notes from the equivalent of a network. So we just got notes internally. There would always be a development person who knew the show but wasn't on the show. So the idea was, I know who all the characters are and what their personality should be. And then they give notes, hopefully more than logic notes, but, saying, oh, you're losing the character. Or the most valuable things were just simple as, I was confused here. What was going on with this or that? Just to say, hey, this is my first objective audience. So there was always somebody assigned to the show. And then, especially in the first 3 episodes or so, Gary Kreisel, head of the department, would always have notes. But then right about after the 3rd script, it's like, well, he had the rest of the business to run. So it just kind of went. And then you wouldn't hear anything more from anybody until something came back animated. And then hopefully they were happy or panicky, one of the two. And then there'd be another kind of panic just before it went on the air.
What was there anything that did crash and burn?
Not of mine. You mean an episode or a series?
Well, I would say, either an episode or a series idea that everybody thought was going to be really great. And first episode comes back and they're like, uh-oh,
I would say the closest thing, and this is farther down the line, was Bonkers. And that was sad because there specifically was the first group of Bonkers was trying to be more like Roger Rabbit, in that they wanted the humans to be very straight.
Yeah.
And then all the craziness would be the animated characters. Again, like Roger Rabbit, that was the whole point. For the first time, Disney had 2 shows in production, Bonkers and Goof Troop. Also for the first time, and this is jumping ahead a couple of series, we had Disney Australia, this powerhouse animation guys, spoke English, knew Warner Brothers shorts, knew Disney shorts. They knew exactly the kind of stuff they wanted. Could really turn out great animation. They did not exist during Rescue Rangers. In Darkwing, I think I had 7 episodes, maybe 8 done by them, because they were a small studio. So that's over the course of 90, 91. By the time they got to Bonkers and Goof Troop, they were a much bigger studio. And they said, these guys can do 22 episodes. So the decision was, okay, Goofy needs that. We have to make sure we can carry off Goofy. So they had Australia do 22 in a row. Now, it probably would have been, and maybe this wasn't reasonable because they were bigger, but not too big, to have both shows going through them and have them create 2 units. But instead, they did 22 minutes of Goof Troop. And Bonkers got the other studios. Again, a show that's supposed to be like Roger Rabbit, hilarious in its animation. So the Roger Rabbit's goof troop came back and it's like, look at this, oh, it looks fantastic, like how funny it is. You'd laugh out loud. Bonkers came back and it's like it was falling flat. They attacked the production team, saying it's their fault. This is wrong. They're picking it apart. Specifically, there was a script that went through that the development executive said, this is possibly the funniest script I've seen here so far, A+. That same script was attacked after that thing came back. It's like, look at this thing is terrible. This thing is ridiculous. Anyway, so the first production team and the writers were pushed onto other shows. A lot of the production team had just left. And when I say the production team, I don't mean the storyboard artists. I mean the head creative people.
Right.
And the head people from the Goof Troop were put onto Bonkers to, quote, save it. Conveniently, that was at the end of the 22 Australian episodes. So now they got this great animation. They were much less precious because the company was kind of, panicked, obviously. So the humans suddenly could be cartoony too. And the straight woman-female character was replaced by Sergeant Piquel, I think, who was a very much cartoony character too. And that show, supposedly was suddenly wonderful. So that was the big crash and burn. Before that, Fluffy Dogs was kind of a Gummi Bear clone. Again, there was a plush line of toys involved, but it was just kind of uninspired. And there was a case there that an executive gave a note. Basically, the arc of the show, of the special, was here's a nerdy kid who has to come out of a shell, and these magical dogs from another dimension turn his life around, and he helps them get back to their home. So he becomes a cool kid. There was a series of executive notes about that lead kid character. Thought he wasn't likable enough. So instead of being this kid and maybe does he wear a tie to school or something like that? No, they gave him a sloppier sweatshirt. First scene, he arrives on a skateboard. His mother previously was pitched as somebody who is, very harsh. At least, when he has trouble, she doesn't get it. He thinks she's crazy when she's talking about things. And the notes came to basically loosen up this kid. And the mother was like, oh no, she should be very understanding and all that. And it's really like the executive was basically mirroring his parenting skills. So yes, in real life, all these make your kid comfortable, understand the kid, listen to problems and things like that. It totally destroyed the story arc of the. I
was going to say it's not entertaining.
Yeah, given that you had one script to do, and it had to have a big arc. So instead of these transformational dogs, it was this cool kid, a dog, and they yet tried to play out the same story, but it kind of fell flat. Anyway, that went out and just didn't, again, it really followed the Gummi Bears template and number of characters and all that. It was very obvious that you're just trying to imitate this show. Mm-hmm. And it just went out and didn't get any excitement. And so that wasn't a full pitch. It was just an evening special. I don't even know if it was played more than once. I assume it was. But, so that was the only time. Fans asked me about various shows. Are there any episodes you wanted to do and you couldn't? And you got to realize that when we pitch a premise, because we would still pitch premises in-house sometimes to Gary, and if Gary couldn't make it, one of the head people in development, and certainly whoever was giving notes directly to us in the show. And you never pitch one premise. You're pitching a group of like 6 premises at least, especially when I pitch to the networks. You're pitching a group because you have to come out with enough premises to go in production. So you wouldn't do just what you needed. You did plenty more. So the ones that didn't go, I don't remember. Just I can remember one out of all the ones I did, and that's because it was like they were probably right in why they turned it down.
But it's also very subjective, but there's a lot of cross currents going on with, how received is appropriate for the age, all of those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, again, we didn't have, those weren't generally the notes. They weren't that analytical. It was more on like I say, it's more confusing. Sometimes it was just this and grab me, a story from later on in my career, I forget which show it was. Oh, I guess I do. It was on an Atlanta show but there was an intern in development, and I assume he was paid at least, so that's technically not an intern, but it was a young kid brought into the development side, and he really wanted to be a writer, and every once he'd pitch stories to me. The closest he came was I could say, well, this is the type of thing we do. We've already got it into work and all that. But he was just missing things. But, I had enough time that I could. He comes to me one day and says, okay, I've got to make a choice. They're offering me a regular position in development as whatever the level was, or I can be a writer. And I had to say, look, if you come up with a premise that I really like, a story that I like, and you get to write a script, you've written one script. I can't make you a staff writer. You're going to have to be out there pitching stories like that. There's no guarantees to that. So if that's what you need to do, just be aware of that. They're offering you a job. If you want to be a writer, that's a different thing. And so that was it. I think within a week, I'm in a room, and here's the guy sitting across from me who couldn't sell me premises at the end of a line of executives. And this is in the Barry Blumberg days where Barry was in charge. Barry, this was so perfect to make this story. Barry was saying, I don't have any notes on this. I like the story. It's clear. It's good. And I'm going, and my first thing is, all right, we're out of here. But it's just like Jay Fukuda was the head of the development at that time. And he was kind of taken aback, saying, well, I had a couple of notes, and he went through and, gave those notes. And then I think there was somebody else. And then it ended up on this guy, and he had the most notes, and they were all the worst kind of notes because they're logical notes that don't matter. It's like, I always point to Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
First movie. Indiana Jones is on the front of a truck. They're on the way. The Germans are on the way to stop the Ark of the Covenant of being delivered. Germans are on the way to the airplane. It's not a commercial airline. They are not going to leave without them. But they decide, we're going to kill this guy in the front of her truck. And their idea is that the car in front is going to slow down while the truck speeds up, as opposed to, why don't you stop the friggin' truck and shoot the guy?
Right.
But instead, they do this thing, and he goes under the undercarriage, and he ends up in back, and it's like the most thrilling thing in the world. I mean, at one point they're riding through, heavily an oasis of some sort, and then the truck goes off the side of a cliff because suddenly they're on the side of a mountain. It's one of the most cinematic sequences, great, exciting sequences in the history of cinema. And if you went in with how much gas would that take? And what is the geology? What's the topography of this area? Because you really set it up as a desert. And why would there be, it's like, what are you talking about? And those are the kind of notes he was giving, kind of thing. And the thing was, it's like, this is the guy that matters. He said yes to everything. The rest of you should be being quiet, or just hand me your notes and I'll take them later.
Yeah.
So anyway, various shows had different people, giving notes.
Did that intern last?
I don't know. He never came back to that show. I don't think I got more notes to him.
That's awesome.
So it changed as far as the story stuff. Once you had I felt as we moved to Darkwing Duck, on Rescue Rangers, at a certain point, there was a conflict. I was taken off the show because basically they felt Gary Kreisel had this thing that he tended to look at other shows that were popular and kind of wondering why our shows couldn't have a little more of that. And his sons loved G.I. Joe. And Gary was an executive, so his son had one of those G.I. Joe aircraft carrier toys.
Right.
That was as long as your bed. He wanted, we had the Ranger plane that Gadget designed, which is this bleach bottle with a helium balloon and flapping wings. It's just a very goofy thing that they got around. And Gary said, they should have a more exciting, a more dynamic thing. Because, he's looking at fighter jets in this kid's bedroom and stuff like that. Well, the closest we came was, I think we called it the Ranger wing, which was built on a boomerang. But it was still a goofy looking thing. So it didn't really solve what Gary was chasing. But it was that kind of, okay, the taste is shifting there. Again, the executives, those middle executives, are supposed to keep things on track. And Tails, well, I'll stay on Rescue Rangers. Anyway, at one point, I don't know whether it was a G.I. Joe influence or something else, they were concerned that Rescue Rangers was looking too young. And my co-story editor, Bryce Malik, said, we're doing a show about 3-inch high chipmunks. Of course it's going to look young. They're fuzzy little animals. Now, again, Jim was giving notes the whole time, and he would have done the show differently. Certainly, when I got notes from him, they were, it wasn't like I was doing things right, but I was turning them out. Ultimately, that, I guess, kept going, and they took me off the show.
And what they put you on?
At first they didn't put me on anything because I was fine with being taken off the show because I said that grueling schedule. And by that time, the real crunch was, again, we would open our series with multi-part episodes that would then be put together as a Friday night feature the week before syndication started. And in DuckTales, I think Jim did all of them. And that I really credit Jim setting up DuckTales as a real Carl Barks adventure, because that's where some of the episodes were very silly by Ted Anasty and Patsy Cameron, who came over from the Smurfs. They had kind of a sillier bent, but Jim brought that adventure into those multi-part episodes. And certainly you see it in the Tailspin opening too. Anyway, ironically on Rescue Rangers, he thought we were losing the spirit of Chip and Dale, which were actually goofier and sillier, and when they drove Donald crazy. Anyway, we were told by Michael Webster, head of the division at the time, that you have to do the 5-parter or 4-part or whatever it was by this date. If you don't have it done by this date, we won't finish it in production. So we jumped on that and tried to, me and Kevin Hoff specifically, and I think others, we pulled on as needed. It was less time than we would normally have to do. Let's say it was a 5 episode. If you take those 5 episodes, in theory, you have 8 weeks to do each episode, right? This date didn't allow that. We had to turn it out because we had the killer deadline. So we killed ourselves to get this thing done. Was it the best thing we've ever done? No, but we got the story told and all of that. Anyway, we did it by the date. It could go into production, and that's it. And it was soon after that they decided to take me off the show. And again, I was exhausted. I was fine with that. It's like, I missed like a year and a half of my young son's life.
But that's also typical in that world where, quote, showrunners sometimes get changed out.
Yeah. But
right?
here's the ironic thing, because at that point, Jim and Mark Zaslov had sold, I think, Tailspin, that they were supposed to be getting ready to go into production on Tailspin. So they were going to take over our Rescue Rangers. So I was fine because I said, look, I've done 45 episodes out of 65, including the pilot that sets things up. Man, I'll take the win and get some rest. I was still there. I forgot. It wasn't like I was immediately put on something specific, but I walked into the Xerox room, and and the secretary had left some copies there, and they're copies of our pilot. And this is weeks after the pilot, that deadline date. I said, what's this doing here? And that's when I find out they're rewriting the pilot. They're rewriting the pilot that had to be done by a certain date. Yeah. And I lost it at that point. It was like I literally packed up things in my office, not everything, but a good number of the stuff, and I was out of there. It was just, talk about thankless for doing this thing. And then, and I did not take, Gary tried calling me and I was screening calls. I was just not going to do it. I guess Jeffrey asked Gary if he should call me, which at the time I thought, yeah, he should have called me. And then looking back, I'm going, God, thank God he didn't call me, because I'm sure I would have said the wrong thing. And I knew Jeffrey treating people a certain way, and it was never the soft and cuddly, cozy treatment. Yeah. Anyway, one of the things that kept me was I was just shy of my packed up my trophies. Whatever
20?
anniversary you get at Disney, maybe it was 20 years to make sense.
20,
well, you got the Mickey statue, the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey.
Oh, that would have been 10.
Oh, the 10 was like the plaque. We used to get a
Oh, I'm sorry.
15.
15. You're right. It was 10.
It'd be 15 or 20. Yeah, whatever. It was kind of like I was due to get that in like a month and a half. And that was kind of like, and I liked the early statues that they did. And then they changed them up and I thought they weren't as good. But so you get the little Sorcerer's Apprentice bronze thing.
Yep.
And part of that was like, anyway, Gary called me. I finally connected with him and kind of soothed things. I guess they sent me to, somebody pointed out, and I had forgotten it, that they sent me, my family, to Walt Disney World. Like, okay, that's good. Anyway, I can calm down, and I felt really bad for my crew because a lot of their work was attacked, but the show had to go on, and ultimately they had to move off the show to get Tailspin going.
Yeah.
And Ken Kuntz and David Weimers were put on the show to finish it, and they were ordered to do the most dialogue heavy shows that they could, that would take the least amount of layouts, because they were behind. That the guys had messed up that date of production, but now they had to make it up.
Right.
So, you know, in retrospect, it's like, really, I was doing such a terrible job that rushing through the last 15 episodes or whatever it was, you know, of talky episodes, no action, reuse stuff, that was a better choice. So I don't know what lessons I learned after that, but a little better at setting up a show, you know, the next one being Darkwing.
So I think this is a great place for us to end, because I'd love to next pick up on Darkwing Duck, because really that's the coup de grace. You know, from that time period. I think that there's a huge fan base, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, but
plus that was, I mean, there was a few shows after that where it was a time of development and being able to create without a lot of it. Well, it kind of gives the lie to the story I just told, but generally to much less interference than certainly happens today. Less support than they give today, that you really could come up with an idea for an episode, and, you know, of, like I say, a queen emperor who wants to marry Darkwing, and put it into work the next day without, you know, too much trouble. And that doesn't happen anymore.
All right. Well, Tad, thank you for being on the Skull Rock podcast. I look forward to picking this up next week, where we're going to talk about Darkwing Duck and really delve in.
All right. Sounds good.
We'll see you then.
All right.
Hey, everyone. It's Kimberly Bouchard. I'm the author of the Positively Disney Cookbook, and you are listening to the Skull Rock Podcast.
Skull Rock Podcast is now on Patreon. Dive deeper into the world of animation, films, and behind-the-scenes stories with your hosts, Aljon Go and Dave Bossert. Not only will you be helping to keep the magic alive, but you will be part of our special community with ad-free episodes. We want to thank friend of the show, Joshua Volkert, as well as Skull Rock crew members, Steve Minch and Chris Banis, for their support. If you would like to join our Skull Rock crew, please visit our Patreon link in our show notes or visit patreon.com/Skull Rock Podcast. Thank you for listening and for your continued support of everything we do.
Time now for the Disney travel deal, where you can save up to $250 per night on a 4-day 4-room and ticket package. Book now with Kristen, my better half, Kristen at magicaljourneysvacations.com. She will hook you up. $250 per night you can save up to most nights from February 22nd to July 25th of 2026 as I record this. $150 per night for most days, Thursday night to January 4th to February 19th. All the deluxe resorts are there. Talking about Disney's Animal Kingdom, Contemporary Resort, Grand Floridian, Polynesian, Wilderness Lodge, love that place, Yacht Club. You can save up to $150 per night if you stay at the moderate resorts as well. Very cool stuff. Disney's Caribbean, Coronado Springs, Port Orleans, or $75 per night over there at the All Stars, Pop Century, Art of Animation, Those would be the value resorts. Perfect. Save time, money, aggravation by booking with my wife, Kristen. Kristen. That's Kristen at magicaljourneysvacations.com. Book today. Get your free quote. Save yourself the time, the hassle. Save money. That's always good. Kristen at magicaljourneysvacations.com.
Skull Rock Podcast, where you hear the stories behind the adventures.
Let's get out of here!
Come on, Scotty, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, Lieutenant.
That the number one phrase most mentioned in every piece of movie history. Let's get out of here, Dave. Is that what it is? I had to put that together. I know I hadn't talked to you since.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm glad you did put it together.
I know. Every now and again, I'll put up new bumpers for us. But gang, another wonderful interview with Tad Stones, and I love it. I love every bit of these interviews, Dave. I'm so glad you're able to do a deep dive with Tad.
You know something, it was just an absolute joy to talk with him, as it is with all of our guests, Aljon, because, you know, it's all of those individuals who are telling their stories from their perspective. And I just thoroughly enjoy it. Now that I'm sort of settling back down, I'm getting into scheduling more interviews with more people for the coming months and years ahead of us. I mean, we've already got shows in the can going out into March of next year.
Just in time for us to do the Animation Y'all Expo.
There you go. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to that Animation Y'all Expo.
I am too. It's going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to more great interviews. I can't believe it's November, Dave. The year is slowly coming to a close. I can't believe it. Where is this year gone, Dave?
Insanity.
I can't believe it. Hey, gang, you made it to yet the end of another episode of Skull Rock Podcast. Thank you so much for subscribing to the show wherever you find podcasts. We're on all the biggest podcast platforms, and we're on YouTube as well, where you can leave us those comments. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Feel free to join us on social media. We're pretty active on Facebook. We're also on X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky. You mentioned that. Instagram. Be sure to get the entire list of shows at skullrockpodcast.com. It'll point you out to our archive over the past 4 or 5 years, Dave. I can't believe we've, our anniversary month has come and gone, Dave. We've been on doing this show for 5 years now. 5 years.
Yeah, it's 5 years, and before we know it, we're going to be talking about our 6th anniversary.
It's going to be insane.
Crazy.
Send us those emails, if you will, Dave or Aljon at skullrockpodcast.com. I'd like to give a shout out to our friends at Source Radio at srsounds.com. You can also check me out, Dining at Disney Podcast. We also host shows every single week. Video exclusively on Spotify. Check out Dining at Disney Podcast. And follow me, Aljon Go, on Instagram. I'd appreciate it for adopting a cat in your neighborhood. Adopt a cat. Adopt an animal. Adopt, don't shop. That's what I'm going to say. It's a holiday season. There's a lot of great animals out there that need homes, a loving home, and maybe you could provide one. So please support your local animal shelter. Dave?
Well, Aljon, so it's that time of year. I just want to let my Disney colleagues who are still with the company out there know that this Thursday, I'm going to be at the Imagineering campus in Glendale, California, doing a book signing.
Whoa.
That's
awesome.
Right.
That's awesome.
I can't wait.
Yes.
So anyway, if you're still with Disney, if you're still at the GC3 campus or at one of the locations in the Burbank, Glendale area, pop over and say hi to me. I'd love to see you.
Yes, let everybody know. Yes.
And then also, you can hear me on the Tunes Behind the Tunes on Sirius XM, Disney Hits, Channel 133. All during the month of November, we're going to be featuring the song I See the Light from Disney's animated classic now, Tangled.
Right.
I love that song.
I love it.
You can also get signed copies of my books at theoldmillpress.com, including my latest book, Find Your Happy Place, the 8-Step Guide to Boosting Your Creativity Through a Personal Retreat, winner of multiple book awards, and would be a very good gift. I might point out, a signed copy of that might be a very good gift this year for the holidays to somebody who is trying to figure out what they want to do with their future.
There you go.
And you can always go to davidbossert.com. You can check out all the free content I have there and the tab that's free stuff. In fact, I just mailed out a bunch of stuff. If you're listening and you had mailed me something within the last month and a half, it is on its way back to you. I'm finally getting caught up on all of the free stuff. But with that, Aljon, Halloween's in the rearview mirror. I'm going to say go out and have a fantastic week. As always, be kind to one another, and we'll see you back here next Monday right here on the Skull Rock Podcast.